do. Time to break and run.
Thank you.
If we're editing, I think this is the entrance, okay?
All right. And we're back.
We're back, and as we all know, we are blessed tonight to have with us Jamie Lowell, who has been lifetime Michigan resident. I don't think I'm going real far in the stretch to say that, right? Lifetime Michigan resident.
Yeah, we're going to go back that far. Okay.
And other than that, I don't think anyone really knows anything about Jamie Lowell. Right. He just all of a sudden appeared in 2008, 9, and
I know
knew all this stuff about cannabis, or so he made us believe. Let's start with a couple of things that people really want to know. Number one is, who's your favorite band?
The Who.
Straight up The Who?
Yep.
With or without Roger Daltrey?
With, of course.
Exactly.
What do you mean with or without Roger Daltrey?
I don't know. You like?
It's never The Who if Roger Daltrey.
Guess who I like better? Anyways, okay, fine. It wasn't a question directed to me. Number two, who's your most favorite influencer of history?
History?
If anybody.
Wow. I don't have one. I don't.
Okay, all right, very good. Tell us how, I don't tell us as much as you want to, but give us whatever background, length, time sequence, timeline of what was going on, how you find yourself up there in Ypsilanti and somehow in support of the Michigan Chamber of Commerce, Michigan Medical Marijuana Chamber of Commerce.
No, just Michigan Marijuana Chamber
Whatever.
of Commerce.
Was it with a J or an H? I'm joking. I say that because that's, I think, I'm going to tease it because, like, I think that's when I first encountered you. We can talk about that.
Well, let me first say that you had Tim on here last week, and he, in a long list of people I know, have been like working on this issue for years, in some cases decades, and could never name them all, but Dr. Whitty and Marvin and Christine Landino and Trina Moss and so many.
Can I interject one thing here? Last week's show, Tim Beck, which I think a lot of people started thinking about this, and I like where it's going, but David Light, who is one of the...
And I would include his name on that list as well.
You know, because there's a whole other back history of individuals that arises out of the Rainbow Farms incident, and, you know, which is 2000 and 9/11, 9/11.
Yeah.
But there was that legislative, the support of the legislation to try to adult responsible acting.
Right.
What was it? What was it called? The PRA.
The PRA.
The PRA.
Around 2000. Yeah.
Right, but that was one of the things that brought. I'm sensing, and I don't know that we talked about this. Tim, does anyone know what I'm talking about? Jim,
What?
does anyone know what I'm talking about? The
It was a
origin.
ballot initiative effort.
Right.
Yeah.
They got a lot of volunteer signatures.
They almost made it.
Yeah.
Right.
Made some
So that
noise,
is the
for
origin,
sure.
I would say, of the. As far as you could chart back, like some of the origins of the cannabis reform
People
movement.
that go back before then, obviously, too. And,
Of course,
John
of course.
Sinclair and Chuck Ream. And there's too many to really mention, but I just want to recognize that I understand I came in, really working on this after the passage of the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act and soon learned about the foundation that was laid before
sure.
me, and I have a lot of respect for that, and I understand that's how I came in.
You're right. It does go back further, and I'm reminded of that because I was sent something from some people that we're going to look forward to sharing in some of the more history. That's really kind of fascinating. But Jamie, back to you.
Well, and I also when I discuss a lot of the things that have gone on and that I may have participated in, and even though I talk about it from first person from my perspective, I also feel as though I represent kind of a group of people who are very active and successful in their activism and moving things forward and kind of share a general philosophy and so I'm not trying to take ownership of a lot of this stuff and I think that we've been effective because that's kind of been how we've worked together for many years, with or without a lot of the controversies that have taken place.
You mean just those people in general you're talking about? All right. Never mind. So
I'd have to understand that better to answer.
people that you've worked with without controversy.
No, not necessarily. They could have had controversy. I'm just saying that the overall movement here has been successful.
Okay.
And a lot of things have gone down, and many people have played parts in those things, and we discuss it. I'm trying to say I understand that I'm a part of this larger issue, even though I'm talking from my own perspective.
I'm sorry. Let me make a disclaimer. By inviting Jamie on this show and asking about his involvement in this, in no way does anyone suggest that he had any greater influence than anybody else. He's merely one piece of the puzzle, part of the village needed to raise the child. That's all. All right. So you can speak freely after that.
He's
all
a
right?
large part of it, though. Very huge.
That's
part.
no one's don't say otherwise.
One of the more
he's a
respected-
large member.
He's also as many activists is humble, and doesn't like a lot of attention drawn on him.
Yeah,
but he's here
we should draw
tonight.
attention to Jamie's work, though.
And we'll talk about it a little bit, but death by 1,000 cuts, and there's a lot of action and activity going on, and it's all come together to move us forward. So I just recognize that.
For sure.
I am involved and have done some stuff, and we'll talk about it. That's cool.
Just so you're clear, we're not stopping this effort here after you. I mean, we know there's a lot of other people that should. Okay, sure.
Yeah. Completely different stories in some cases.
I know. All right, so let me put you on the spot. Who, if anyone, did you interact with and meet early on? I'm just gonna use a year of 2008, 2009 that influenced you or made you believe that you may want to find yourself advocating as you have.
Of course, over the years there have been many, but originally Chuck Ream. First guy I came across, he was also in Washtenaw County, obviously with a rich history in Ann Arbor and otherwise, and we did an early event at the Marriott in Ypsilanti.
Who's we?
Third Coast. Had been open since the summer of 2009, an official grand opening January 1st, 2010, and we planned a large expo style event at the Marriott Hilton at the end of January, early February. I forgot exactly what month it was. Early in the year, though.
Was that the first event?
There was an event in Detroit. Yep. In August of 2009.
That's right. It rained one day.
Yep. And then we were there as the Michigan Marijuana Chamber of Commerce with a booth and everything. And Anthony Freed was there, who was instrumental in our beginning.
Who was there? Does anyone remember being there? Anybody?
I was there.
You were there?
Yeah, I was there.
It was like a 3-day event.
Yeah, this is the one in the rain and the
Yeah.
mud and all.
One
that.
day was rain and
Yeah.
mud. One day was sunny. Sunday
Yeah,
was. I think
Dave
Sunday
and
was.
I both went.
Yeah, and our event a few months later at the Marriott, I think kind of brought it up a little bit in terms of working more in the corporate structure and utilizing a commercial like banquet room, and the staff, the headquarters of Hilton had to get together, decide if they wanted to allow us to be there, and they had a meeting and decided that that's what they do. They rent out space for people to, and we set up a tent. The tent that they use for weddings is 5,000 square feet, and we were going to have people smoking there, and sometimes for weddings, they haven't kind of looked the other way when people are smoking cigarettes and stuff.
Right.
But we explained, what we're going to do. Like if you have your card, you can go in there, and it's private space where you can smoke. And the fire marshal showed up and said, no, there's no smoking here. So we went out and bought a bunch of vaporizers and put them in all around there. And we had a 5,000 square foot vaporizer room for that event.
You're not talking about vape pens. You're talking about the rocks.
Yeah, the old school. Yeah,
Rocks.
they weren't as sophisticated as volcanoes either. There was these cheap, like weird box
Right.
things. Yeah, they were with these whips, with the whips and stuff like that. It was pretty old school, but we were able to. We were able to do it at least. I'm sure some people hit the parking lot and just made it easier.
And when people,
It wasn't a fog machine show. That would be cool.
Yeah, it would.
I forgot exactly what we were talking about before we got off on that tangent.
so I'm talking about the development of
remember
Actually, was your
The events.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so like Chuck
Chuck, yeah.
came in and helped us out a lot on that event, being from the area, and helped out with the setting up the seminars and getting a lot of the speakers there and things like that. And I worked with him on that and developed a lot of respect for him. You learn a lot what to do and what not to do by watching Chuck in action. And so I kept going. I kept going from there because at the same time we brought up Anthony. Anthony was really heavily involved in being kind of the face of our organization. And
did you know him before you got involved?
yeah, I knew the guys I got started with for years. We were all in real estate together. And in that little 10-minute documentary that Tony and the people at Grow Green put together called Momentum on Vimeo, I discuss it. But generally, things were falling apart in the real estate industry, and that wasn't working out so well at the time. And so we kind of got together and said, hey, what can we do? And this Michigan Medical Marijuana Act was poised to pass, and it passed. And we thought, here's an opportunity. We can bring all this together.
Well, look, it's 10 years later, and the state is now giving licenses, and one could argue that the last 10 years has not been a intended way for people to make money from the medical marijuana. You could be fighting the uphill battle of it. Did you think getting in that it was going to be, I'm going to say 10 years plus before someone could, potentially profit from or make money from, as opposed to the way it's been described? Not to say that it hasn't gone on, obviously. There's been activity, but where was your head at on that? Did you think?
No, I thought it was going to happen sooner, and I think it could have happened sooner if it would have kind of decided to do it in a more of a restrictive manner. But I don't think a lot of people working on it felt that was good enough for Michigan. It went through a long road, nearly 6 years in the legislature before something passed, and then we got what we got.
I'm assuming did you have any background in politics or lobbying, or in the real estate? Did you find yourself involved with some need for legislative change?
Nope, not at all. This brought me into that world, and it was Anthony who was, covering a lot of that ground, who we parted ways with, and that void was left. And without really thinking about it that much, I kind of stepped into that role.
That's what I'm asking. Did you picture yourself as you got into this, or envision yourself like driving all over the state, or giving presentations that you did at sometimes, 2014, 15, even trying to, for am I legalized back then, or even some of the presentations that were being given regarding the MMA, and you're trying to introduce it to various communities throughout this,
No, not at all. It just all evolved, and I just rolled with it. As Michigan Marijuana Chamber of Commerce, we got requests to come out and be part of new clubs that were forming and around the state, and so decided to and talk to people about what we were doing and how we were looking at this, what we were seeing unfolding, and kind of got started that way.